was like, "Nahisi muni yangu man," because
you've
been
more about it,
configured
right.
to do that, and I should respect that.
I see.
The other things would come and tell me that 1, 2, 3, and I would advise on that. So fathering is about like we have these students. You've been a student in KU.
Yes.
And there are some students who don't take their cards. And a guy would just come on the last day and they tell you, well, excuse me, I didn't take the card. Why? Of course, you have to show life. So
right.
you don't just go easily, let me just give you the card and then No, if you do that, the guy will repeat the same mistake.
Right, and that will be perpetuated.
It will be perpetuated. And he will find another lecturer who doesn't have a mothering heart or a fathering heart, and that's why we end up having so many retakes.
Right.
So finally, on this one, if you're able now to look at that, maybe that student who is there, and you give a few slaps of talk, and then straighten him, give the cut, and then the guy just knows, this is how life is.
Right.
That way of help this guy in life then. In GBV, is about looking at the power relations. You address that by, do I respect my wife? Do I respect my colleagues? How do I talk to them? How do I talk to my students?
What is the...
And all those kind of things.
Maybe lastly, I see here it's 8:40 in the morning, and we can, as I said earlier, we can have this discussion on GBV, and you've said rightfully so, in 100 million years to come. And I like that you've mentioned that values are going to be the key component we have to take a look at work, at home, and in our day-to-day activities. Maybe lastly, then what is the role of policies? What role do policies and measures that are implemented at workplaces, even in school, as you mentioned? I have been at Kenyatta University as a student, and maybe I was not fully aware of the policies that are there to prevent gender-based violence. I am at Kenyatta University, of course, privy to a few of those measures. What role do they play at these workplaces in reducing or stopping GBV?
Thank you so much. Now, it's like, what's the role of the policy? Well, in other words, policies are laws, rules, regulations. Who is supposed to be given regulations? Who is supposed to be given laws? Is a defiant guy. If you do things right in your home, where you grew up, your parents are here, and you're doing everything right, you'll never find your dad, your mom telling you, don't do this, don't do that, because everything is right.
Yes.
There's no place for, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Because you're doing everything, right. You're not doing it anyway, and you don't have an intention of doing that anyway. So the role of policy is for the defiant guys. In the society, we have two types of people. We have the right guys, the upright fellows, and the other guys, yeah? So the role of policy is to put laws, regulations in place so as to check those who are defiant, yeah? So that you're able to refer to if I mistreat you, and I'm trying to defend myself. It will be produced and say, okay, this is what the policy says. And you've broken this article of the policy.
Right.
And therefore, these are the consequences. But if I was right, I don't need the policy.
Right. Do you think this will be, if we strengthen the policies still, are they a very good use, parallel to impacting values?
Yeah, sure. When we have the policies, like in institutions, where are the policies? Is it a document on paper, or in a booklet, or is it in the hearts of people?
Right.
As long as the policy remains in the form of a booklet or a document, it may not serve its purpose.
Okay.
The way it would serve the purpose is to let the people know, the men and the women around that institution know, this is what we refer to. This and they are taken through. For example, the departments. Every department, to me, every department should organize, to take the students through like a policy on GBV. Every department, not school,
Not the whole
department.
school, yes.
It doesn't, when I give you an axe to go cut a tree, a blunt axe, and I give you a file, and I don't tell you
what to do.
If you're not wise, what you start doing is to start cutting the tree. You'll take 7-8 hours there. A wise person will take 1 hour sharpening the axe. So when you go cutting the tree, you'll use 1 hour.
Right.
So instead of using the 8 hours, I've used 2 hours. In the same way, in one of the lessons that we have, no, maybe an hour lesson, because we have an hour lesson and then 2 hours. Even if I take 2 hours, just trying to sharpen these guys into this how life is, they will be able to concentrate more in class, and they'll find value of education.
Right.
Because you are bringing the real life component into them. And so values is number one.
Right.
And that should be the foundation upon which you put the policy.
Right. That's a very good way to wrap it up. Not just have blank policies, of course, ensure that people are aware of how those policies are working. Policies on paper is just not enough. Start with values, and then, of course, ensure that everyone is aware of how those policies work. Asante sana, Daktari Willy Mwangi, for joining us here this morning, and we're hoping that some other time, when you're free from your busy schedule, we can also have another conversation on the show.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Biashara Tuesday is taking a short break. Again, remember, we are interacting on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday on Twitter. Tag us at KUTV_Kenya. Right about now, I'm going to the newspaper review that is coming up next with one political analyst, Ndegwa Ngugi. Business Daily, Daily Nation, and The Standard is what I have here. If you have The Star, The People's Daily, Ojong Mariam, send me the front of that paper. Let me see what it looks like. And if you have any concerns, comments, and questions, send them to us. I'll be right back.
Sasa ni bora zaidi, mwanzo mpya, mambo mapya. Msimu mwingine wa Boresha Kilimo unakuletea teknolojia ibuka, kilimo mseto, uongezaji thamani. Teknolojia dijitali ya mauzo inawezesha ufikiaji wa masoko. Soko moko yako, mahangaiko yako ya kufikia masoko yamefika kikomo, manake tunao Mkulima Young.
What Mkulima Young does is it connects farmers with the market.
Hii ni Boresha Kilimo kwa ushirikiano na Mkulima Young. Atafutaye hachoki na kichoka kesha pata. Kwa makala maalum ya kilimo, ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 6:30 kwenye kipindi ukipendacho Boresha Kilimo.
Our children are at home, schools are closed, and I'm sure that in this festive season that we are getting into, you will need a quick fix, a quick meal, one that is easy to make, one that is delicious, and definitely fancy for the kids. So today we are going to learn how to make a couple of meals when we are using rice. We're going to make 3 types of meals using rice.
wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Pata system. Pata system basically helps people to get lost documents.
The platform is called X-Carbon. As in the word X-Carbon. I worked with him through this journey of developing this platform.
My project is a machine learning project, and it's based on the medical sector.
We have this project which is a farm management system.
The motivation was the way food shortage experience that we are having in Kenya.
All through the daily basis, I try to focus on the area of digital security.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box, just name them.
Pull up in a beam, too much, too clean, I'm tall. Aye, don't foster, serious and other. A big time player, crib too big and ganja. I went flexer, yeah. Tina said gym, yeah.
The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked, make sure we keep fit, and that's it from me to you. Let's be fit.
I went flexer, yeah. Tina said gym, yeah. Too hot like a heater. My neck done froze like winter. Don't bet it on liquor, yeah. Shades on me picture.
Kenyatta University will hold its 52nd graduation ceremony on Friday, 16th December 2022 at the main campus along the Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV and KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786335111 or visit the KU website at www.ku.ac.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
All right. Very grateful that you're still sticking with us here on Biashara Tuesday, KUTV Kenya. We are live from our studios, by the way, here. Remember to tweet us out on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday and also interact with us on the live stream. And it is at KUTV Kenya Live on Facebook and KUTV Kenya Live on YouTube, and then KUTV Kenya on Facebook. Here, I have with me Bwana Ndegwa, who's been with us before, but he's a political analyst, giving us his perspective and analysis of what is happening in the dailies, and of course the developments that we've been witnessing for the past few days that have led us to today, and also maybe get to see what you can expect into the future. Let me just quickly read what is in the headlines, and I'll start with the Daily Nation. Why besieged IEBC duo quit? Of course, Commission Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera just resigned yesterday, and this is following another resignation which happened last week on Friday by Commissioner Justice Nyang'aya. And all of this is happening after President William Ruto suspended these 4 commissioners who disowned the results of the August 9th poll regards to the presidential elections. And this, of course, they described as the opaque nature in which that last process of the tallying of the results was done. And it seems that the axe has caught up with them. And we're going to see why is it that they have quit so early, even as judiciary investigations and the tribunal which has been set up to conduct these investigations continues. On the Standard, Raila seeks to ride on Ruto's failed pledges. Azimio leader is leading a national conversation which is beginning tomorrow on governance and performance of the president and his cabinet. And several rallies are being slated, including the 12th of this month, which is Jamhuri Day celebrations. They are consultative meetings. I'm being reminded they're not rallies, protests, picketing, or any demonstration whatsoever. Raila Odinga is questioning that he does not invite hooligans and goons. These are going to be peaceful discussions and public engagement forums. Of course, this is what he's saying. We have our take. Ndegwa tells me that it might be a return to Shisha Mondays, if you remember the 2013 general elections aftermath, where Raila Odinga used to take to the streets every single Monday and get his share of tear gas on the streets of Nairobi. The tear gas Mondays might be returning, but we'll be having a look at that as well. That's what the Standard has taken priority, has given priority on the front of the dailies. The Business Daily, foreign investors trading halves at NSE in 1 week. And this, as I said, is as a result of that COVID-19 tighter restrictions which are being witnessed in the second largest economy in the world, that is China, and which is also the largest manufacturing hub of the globe. Remember, if a lot is affected, if you noticed during the COVID-19 restrictions of 2020 and leading into 2021, this affects every single market all across the world in terms of importation and inflow of goods and services into the country. However, as the investment of foreign investors dwindles in the local stock market, this is also a good time to invest in some of these key performers or some of the 4 largest stocks by market capitalization. I was going to tell you what those are. Maybe I can tell you to have a look at what it's looking like for Safaricom, Equity Group, KCB, and EABL, which account for 70% of the total investor wealth at NSE. So they've shed their weight by between 0.6% and 4.3% of their valuation in the past 1 week. Remember, Safaricom is just making its headway into Ethiopia, and as foreign investors have their investment into NSE, it is a good time for you as a hustler to take your hustler fund and put some investment into some of those companies I just mentioned there. Hustler Fund is also another conversation we are having, and it's detailed here on the front of the Business Daily. But before I get ahead of myself, please do send me the front of the dailies in the People Daily and also the Star if you have access to that. This is 60 Kenyan shillings. You can grab yourself a physical copy, but also online at, I think, 20 or 10 bob. Get the e-paper and also get to discuss with us even further. I will ask my producer and director Ryan Ngure to also queue up the cartoons, the editorial cartoons on the Standard, and also the Daily Nation. We'll be having a look at that at the end of this discussion. Mr. Ndegwa, welcome to the show.
Asante sana.
Ukoaje bana?
Niko salama. First of all, to say thank you for inviting me again.
You're welcome, man.
To speak on matters of national importance. And also to mention that I'm also the chairman for the OKENYE Youth League. so that nisirudi pale wanipige kwa sababu sikuwataja.
Kabisa.
Asante. I'm glad to be here. Yes.
I think the last time we saw each other was before elections?
Yes, before elections, and a lot has happened since then, which is also interesting to see how things are folding out and the direction of the country going forward.
Right. We've had ample time to look at the developments.
Very true.
As we've said before we joined here on air, I think it's still, we're still in the first 100 days of the Kenya Kwanza government.
Almost there. Probably by the 26th or the 24th of December, that is when maybe the windows, the curtains might fall.
Right.
Yes.
As we speak about the Kenya Kwanza government, I think it's important that we also segue into what is happening around their governance and the opposition to their governance. I see you've started with the Daily Nation. Maybe you can begin there.
Yeah.
There is an IEBC duo that has already quit, 2 out of the 4. Before we get to why, according to the Daily Nation, has detailed here on why they might have quit, do you think the other 2 are also going to resign?
It will be politically right for them to do so, and for their own good, which is also something to be desired, because again, it's neither here nor there. They might still quit, and people will still go after them. But I think for the both of them who have quit, it was in their best interest to do so.
Here, the Daily Nation says that one of the 4 of the reasons in which they think these 2 have quit. Let me just maybe quickly read through that. Criminal sanctions, of course, for the fear that the tribunal might turn them into a lynch mob. There's public ridicule and grilling. We have been following up on this case, trying to see exactly what went wrong during the day of the announcement. If you remember, there was a split screen on the day of announcement. On one side, we were seeing Chebukati being lynched by a mob at the announcement of the presidential results. On the other hand, we saw 4 of these commissioners providing their own statement, saying they did not trust the results that were being announced by the chairman of the IEBC. The predetermined process, there's usually a fear that already the stone has been cast, the decision has been made. This is just a public process, but the decision has already been made and predetermined on how the outcome of this is going to happen, even as we see that President Ruto did already suspend them from office. And selfish reasons, possibly. There are benefits to resigning early, retirement packages and send-off packages as well. I don't know if they are able to get that, given that they have been suspended by the president, but looking at these reasons, what would you make of what is going on behind the scenes? Is there any speculation you have on maybe are there forces you feel that pushed these IEBC commissioners to resign?
Definitely,
also to make that statement that they did on the August general election results.
There are definitely forces on both sides.
Okay.
And it is important to look at it this way, to see that in Kenya's political scene, a lot happens behind the scenes that we do not actually see. And I think one of the reasons that they feel safer resigning is because this is also a political process. Other than it being a process of checking integrity and what have you, it is also a political process, because the government that is in place is a regime that they did not seem to very much support per se in one's political eye. So I think there are forces that are maybe pushing them to move from office. And this is so because, again, there seems to be a lot of support from this other side of the opposition supporting them, which means, again, that even if they were to stay in office, they will do nothing much.
Right.
Because there seems already, there is lack of what we call lack of being partisan. Already it seems, even if they were to go on, that is, people will still view them in a particular way.
As outsiders.
Yes, as outsiders.
Now, here is a question, though. I think it's supposed to be, it is called the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which means that the position and the political take of the commissioners who are sitting on this IEBC should be independent. Are we seeing that, given that, of course, we can tell that there there is a probability of forces behind whatever is happening with these 4 IEBC commissioners on both sides. We can see that Raila Odinga, and I think I might be putting you on the spotlight here, Raila Odinga and NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua, of course, saying that there's gross injustice, and they are now planning public forums to discuss exactly what is happening with these IEBC commissioners. On the other hand, we see President William Ruto, whose results were contested by these 4 commissioners, also saying that they should be out of office, investigations be done against them, and if Raila has any issue with this, he should take the president to court. Do we have an independent boundaries commission?
I think we are pretty much far from there as a country, because our culture, or the culture or the background of our politics drives us to a particular way, which in most times, most of these processes are skewed. From the beginning, or from the onset of the creation of such bodies, if per se I'm the president, and I decide, because I'm the appointing authority, I will appoint these commissioners. In the end, there will be some sense of maybe you should return a hand. If my hand is involved in politics or in the electoral process. And we see from the onset, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was pretty much involved in the electioneering process, showing very openly his side, or the side that he supported. So from that view, it is just normal that maybe people, or the common mwananchi, will view it in the political sense, that these guys were appointed by the former president, and so
they are his people.
Yeah, whether or not it is true, but they will still view it that way. So I think in that sense, it is difficult to say that we are getting there, because if that trend continues, and the background of our politics is that you are either from this divide or that divide.
Right.
And your view of things is determined on what divide you fall. What side of the divide you fall.
Right.
If I fall on the side of the Azimio side, then I will view this as injustice. And if I fall on the side of the government, then I will say that maybe this should not have happened. In the first place, they should not have been in the commission. And in the first place, I will say, if I'm on the side of the regime, that these people actually committed atrocities. And I will try to exaggerate that.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense, because of course we saw that even in his very first address to the nation, President William Ruto, after the election results, said that the chairman of the IEBC, that is Wafula Chebukati, is the hero of that election, which means he took a stand on which side of the commission, on which divide of the IEBC commissioners he was having a look at.
Which again is dangerous. Coming from a person of his stature, because again you do not want to seem like you
are taking sides.
Yes, you are taking sides. So I think it should come from a point of that was his job, and he probably did it perfectly. There is no need to go beyond there and start saying, nah, this is our hero, this is what.
Yes. Right, I see that.
Yes.
Now, Raila Odinga and your party leader, that is Martha Karua, are organizing public engagement forums. And as we said, these mandamanos sometimes lead to tear gas Mondays. We call them Shisha Mondays. Do you think this is the right way to address this situation?
First, there are so many ways to view this. And one way is that the first role of political parties, and that extends to the coalitions, is to unite, first of all, to unite the citizens, and second, to provide balance. And balance might come in many ways, and one of balances that is provided is to ensure that the government is neither here nor there. It does not fall on one side and does not leave out part of the country. And also to ensure that all parties are involved in the running of the country. And now coming to what is happening, is that I do not think that it will be right to head the Shisha Mande way, because one, that will destabilize the country, and again, that will maybe set us on the wrong path politically heading towards 2027.
Right.
But it is also important to know that the opposition must, from the word go, ensure that they keep the government in check. And now that we are heading towards the end of the 100 days, I think this is a good way to approach it. to ensure that these things that the government has not done and that they were promised are the government is called out in its various actions.
Okay.
That is a good move to follow, but that move should not extend to a point that it causes maybe destabilization of the country. Yeah.
Demonstrations, picketing,
yes,
and all of those that we sometimes get to see from
yes,
the opposition. So if you have, something that you can put through to the Azimio team, please fika pale public engagement forums. And Raila Odinga is saying that hooligans and goons are not welcome to those public engagement forums. You said the 100 days in,
yes,
almost 100 days into the Kenya Kwanza government, and Raila Odinga, of course, has accused President Ruto on appointing failed politicians, crooked businessmen, and mercenary activists,
yes,
as he mentioned, as he called them, to run ministries while also turning the public service into a preserve of only 2 communities. We have seen a situation as one has been highlighted here,
yes,
on the Business Daily, where the current the latest appointment to the Communication Authority, that is the chair, Mary Wambui Mungai,
yes,
and I'm seeing here development in the Business Daily, page 5, where the Kenya Revenue Authority is launching a bid to withdraw a 2.2 billion tax evasion suit against that businesswoman who's been appointed by President William Ruto to be the chairperson of the Communication Authority of Kenya. We've seen this before with other appointees to the CS positions whose cases have been dropped, to permanent secretaries whose cases have been dropped. We've seen even the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagwa's case, it's been dropped, and they've said the land that is next to JKA is rightfully his. Is Raila Odinga right by saying that maybe President William Ruto is sanitizing some of these crooked businessmen and crooked and failed politicians, given that President Ruto came in saying that he was finishing dynasties. So it seems to me that dynasties are still
pretty much alive.
Yeah,
I think, and in my very own opinion, I think that there is need to ensure that the president actually needs, and the government needs to ensure that they keep in check integrity, and that is in regards to chapter 6 of the Constitution, because one of the pillars that the Azimio coalition were running on was fighting corruption. And again, now the government, now that being the case, the government should not seem like it celebrates corruption and lack of integrity, because if we move that way, then it means that we will pull back on the gains that we have gained in the very many years that we have been fighting for this as a country. And while on one side people might say that maybe these cases being dropped were some of the trumped up charges against people that did not seem to be politically correct.
State capture.
Yes, in the past. There is also a lot to be desired in the manner in which it is done, because most of these people actually, and not just in the public eye, actually did things that they should not have done while in office. We have seen appointments of the likes of the former governor of Kiambu County, Honorable Waitito. We have seen the appointments of Mary Mungai, and very many, including the dropping of the charges against our deputy president, which is there is a very thin line between what we desire as a country and falling back to what we fought against in the past.
There's a very thin line in reversing injustice and also continuing with celebrating, as you said, celebrating corruption and some of these graft cases we've seen before.
Because actually, these might affect the performance. If these things are true, it might affect the performance of the government. Because again, there is a risk in bringing back people who have maybe fat fingers or maybe have a good appetite for the public funds. It is a very dangerous route to follow.
Right, a very dangerous trajectory for us to head to, but you can get to read more of that and give us your opinion while we are still on matters of graft and a bit of the IEBC. Former IEBC chiefs, 2 of them, the former CEO has been also sentenced here to 4 years each in anti-corruption case that was heard in Nairobi, and they've been sentenced to 4 years in jail over corruption scandal relating to procurement of 1.3 billion Kenyan shillings worth of voter identification devices in 2013. If the CEO of the former CEO of IEBC has been involved in a graft of this scale and has been found guilty, and we know the issues that are currently facing the current cohort, as you called it, the current cohort of the IEBC, have we ever had a free and fair election? Let me actually begin from that.
It is neither here nor there, because as I said, depends on what political side of the political divide you are on. But it is a very critical time for Kenyans to look into the issues of IEBC. And on one side, there is the issue of procurement. And on the other side, there is the issue of integrity in how they conduct the elections.
Okay.
While one might affect the other, there is also need for fairness to look and say that in this particular time, where more than before, the IBC has actually gone ahead of itself and done better than before. But we cannot leave it at that, because we need a free and credible election in the coming days, and in the by-elections, and even in the future. So there is need to ensure that wrongs that are done are corrected, and that can only be done by placing in by using sanctions. And where wrong has been done, actually, in the case of Honorable Oswago, punishment must seem to be effected, and justice must seem to be done where necessary. So I think that is the only way that we can get where we need to. On one side, issues of procurement, a lesson to other public officers, and on the other side, a lesson to the future commissioners of the IBC, that you actually need to be on the lookout when given the job and do it well.
Right.
So I think these how this is dealt with is something that we need to look at.
Right.
Yes.
Of course, also we are seeing that maybe we might see criminal charges being meted against this 4 IEBC commission. I don't know how that's going to work out now that they've tendered in their resignation, but criminal charges are being preferred against them, and we might see that in the coming days. So you can follow up with that story on the Daily Nation.
Before you move away from that, I think that is what I'm saying, that we need to see justice being done.
Right.
It is not just a matter of whether or not you are in office
or have resigned.
Or you have resigned. It should be a matter of follow-up. Now it's okay, you have resigned, but we still need to follow. That's good. You have actually done what the Constitution has said, but we need to follow up and know, did you actually do this the wrong way or the right way?
Right.
Because I think, and this is in my very own opinion, I think these commissioners actually had what it takes to put this country in the wrong path and down the path of violence. Because again, how you handle such issues that are sensitive to the country really matters. Because going out in the public about this in the manner that they did, to some might seem like a very wrong move, while to others might seem like they were trying to protect maybe what you call integrity of the commission.
Of the commission, right.
But there is need to follow up and ensure that where wrong was done is actually punished.
Right.
That can only be done in courts.
Right.
Yes.
Ensure that you're following up on that story and giving us your views as well. It's important you mentioned there the manner in which they handled such a sensitive case, because as I said there was a split screen just suddenly during the announcement of the presidential results, and I have to say the truth, I was tense myself.
Yes.
You know, I was afraid whether I should be stepping out. I will safely be outside my door in 10 minutes time.
And mark you, if not for how far we have come as a people, that was one moment that will have easily fallen into violence.
Right.
And that is something that we should worry about now going forward. Going forward.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely. Hustler Fund has been also one of those things that Kenya Kwanza government promised, and they've effected it as of December 1st of 2022 within the first 100 days. And millions of Kenyans have registered and started requesting for that. Remember, the repayment period is 14 days, in which on the 15th day you are marked as a defaulter, and there, of course, there are some terms and conditions in how the recovery method is going to be. Now, taking a look at the promises that were given by the Kenya Kwanza government, including this Hustler Fund within the first 100 days. We are aware there are other funds which were effected by President Mwai Kibaki and also President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Uwezo Fund, the National, the Youth Fund, and also the Women Fund, which are still actually active, that you can get to apply to if you're interested. Is there any difference with the Hustler Fund? It was a very, I remember for the Kenya Kwanza government, the Hustler Fund was the biggest financial support they were going to offer at the bottom of the pyramid to hustlers. And on the other side, we had Raila Odinga promising 6,000 bob every single month to each household. I don't know how that would have worked out, but I can say from my view, I don't think the Hustler Fund has done much for encouraging economic boost of the hustlers.
There might be no much difference from other what we have seen in the past. And just like all regimes, for this regime, it seems that the Hustler Fund is one of its political tools, maybe giving something back to the people, something small to show them that we actually have you in mind. But I really would like to see how this goes, maybe in the future, because there are two important issues that we should look at in this particular one. And one of those issues is the safety of information, because there is what the registration to get those funds. There is what you need to present to actually be viable to get the funds. And I think personal information is one of the things that we will be looking at going forward. And the other issue is whether these funds will actually get to the right people, because there is a tendency for people to borrow to satisfy needs
that are not.
And there is such temptations when the money, the cap is too little. And in this case, the limit for those people who are getting maybe 600 shillings, 500 shillings, 700, there will be this kind of temptations to actually do like what we used to see with Fuliza. To Fuliza, for a student to Fuliza, to go and maybe drink alcohol. But whether or not this is going to be effective is determined on how they carry out the entire process. Whether this will be a loophole for people to steal public monies. That is something that we also need to look at, because this, if practiced in the wrong way, might be a loophole.
I would say, could they maybe have addressed some of those challenges which are facing current funds? Because looking at how the Hustler Fund stacks up against other kitties here, maybe just roughly to see Hustler Fund 50 billion, which is that is being lent to individuals and businesses, and one can borrow up to 50,000 with an 8% interest rate per annum, and the repayment period is 14 days. When you take a look at the Youth Fund, one can borrow between 100,000 and 5 million, and the interest rate is at 6% per groups. And this is varying between 12 months and 36 months in terms of the repayment, so which means it's a lengthier term as compared to the Hustler Fund.
For most people, what they will have failed to understand is that though the limit might be at 600 for now, if you continue borrowing and repaying, then your limit goes up, upwards and upwards, until maybe you will get to 50,000. We don't know. That is a good one, and that is excellent. But again, depends on how it is managed going forward.
And there's a question also people asking on, where is the 50 billion coming from? where will we be getting the 50 billion that is
Yes.
funding all these loans? And that's something that is not privy to the public yet.
Yes,
Hopefully-
and also the 14 days. I'm yet to know whether a real hustler will be able to repay, an amount of 50,000 within 14 days. I don't know.
Still a lot of concerns on the Hustler Fund Kitty. We'll be having a look at that as well as it develops. And remember to tune in to more of Biashara Tuesday to get to have a look at that. A thing that you should be excited about is DP Gachagua saying that Kenyans are going to be prioritized in all tenders that are under 1 billion Kenyan shillings. And this is there on the Daily Nation, page 8. You can have a look at that. This is going to help local investors who are maybe supposed to or who look forward to tendering in the various government projects, at least give them a fair ground in competing against foreign firms which might have the financial muscles to be involved in these tenders. Maybe a tick to the Kenya Kwanza government?
Yes, so far I think they are trying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully that becomes something that you can get to realize its benefits into the future. Here, maybe we can wrap it up with a bit of news from the NSE, as had been detailed here on the Business Daily. The investment is halving. This is in the past week where we have seen protest and tighter restrictions due to tighter restrictions over in China, the second largest economy of the world, has shown new cases, very high infection rates of COVID-19, and that being the manufacturing hub of the world, we have seen that investors are at least a bit worried. Foreign investors are a bit worried in investing in local markets which are emerging and prefer to go to safer havens in larger performing markets like the United States. And this did affect us sometime back in 2020 and 2021, where we even saw the Mitumba business being affected. Manufacturers in the country couldn't even import goods from China and all of that. Do you think we are going back to COVID-19? I also see figures in Kenya from the Ministry of Health. By last week, there was a day where we had 1,000 positive infections per day, and I know most Kenyans might not be aware of that. Are we going back to, should we be worried?
We should be worried because of our behavior, because I think there is tendency to drop guard once something has stopped being in the maybe public domain. When the issues of COVID-19 and deaths stopped being on daily news, then people dropped guard. So I think it is something, and again, coming from an election where we interacted very openly and without really looking at issues of maybe wearing a mask and what have you, I think it is very easy to fall back to what we had in the past months.
All right. Yes. I'm seeing here a few comments on the Hustler Fund. Maybe I can read that real quick as we try and wrap up. Here is John Chavez. John Chavez anasema Azimio started by discouraging Kenyans from taking the Hustler Fund. It failed, and then they told them to take the money but default on repayment. It seems it's not yielding results. Now they're saying it's illegal and must be fought. Of course, that's an opinion from another hustler hapa hivi. PM Peter Chege anasema mimi nilipewa 3K na silipi. Come on, guys. Let's not be that type of Kenyan. Here, Aguko anasema, you guys are right. Where is this money coming from? And where will the profit go? There's that, of course, 30% I see here that is intended for short-term savings, and the bank will be retaining some of that. Where will the profit go, and who will be benefiting? Let's leave politics alone. It is good that the government is not bad that the government is funding Mwananchi, but we should be having questions about where this money is coming from, because Parliament apparently has not approved any budget with billions of shillings to give Kenyans for free.
And actually, it is a good thing. That is a good comment, because we should actually question, and that is the role of a citizen. And not just a politician. The role of a citizen to question and to ensure that what has been promised is done. Doesn't matter what side of the political divide you are. And that is why I'm worried. On one hand, I will congratulate the president for saying that he needs a strong opposition. But on the other, it is worrying from the comments that he put forward yesterday, saying that MPs from his Kenya Kwanza
should not oppose him.
That is the wrong way to approach it, because I think whether or not you are in government, there is need to keep asking these questions. And you will see it in what we had in the past few days, where Honorable Moses said something about maize, the GMO. And
yes, saying something else.
Something else. And MPs from the Rift actually said something else. That is how it should be approached, because again, some of these issues are cross-cutting.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter from what side of the divide you are. And now moving forward, we should forget that we were in Azimio or in Kenya Kwanza. And as citizens, not as politicians, we should not forget, but as citizens, we should forget that we were in Azimio or in Kenya Kwanza. Because going forward, whether you are in Kenya Kwanza or not,
that's true.
Yes,
that's true. Don't criticize the government. That is what Ruto is telling his members of parliament on Kenya Kwanza. Naambia they might be tempted to join the opposition, but they should not do that.
Actually, they should be tempted.
Yes,
they should.
Of course, you will say that as a member of NAC Kenya.
Yes.
You are inviting them to join the opposition.
They should be tempted, because again, for a better country, we need to maybe keep checks here and there.
Right.
Yes.
Let's have a look at the cartoons, editorial cartoons from the Standard. There's only one by Ndula. Let's have a look at that. Ndula is Standard ama Daily Nation? Standard, Daily Nation, the editorial. That is what we have on the Daily Nation, on the editorial. Let me get your view on what you see. Unaona aje hapo? Hapo ni gari naona ya IEBC.
Hapa ni gari ya IEBC. And what seems to be
there's also a really good editorial cartoon on the Standard. People can be taking a look at that as we
look at this one.
Look at this one, yeah.
There is what seems to be a caricature of His Excellency Dr. Ruto.
Yes, and that's Cherera being bundled out.
Yes, of the engine.
Yes. I think that already someone's ahead of her.
Yes.
That should be
Naya. Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's left in there? Driving the IBC.
That is the chairman.
Chebukati,
yes.
Yeah. It's a very interesting cartoon. Cleaning house on the IEBC. Yeah, you can get to think about it. Have you seen the one in the Standard?
Not yet.
The one in the Standard is Governor Johnson Sakaja in a class as a class monitor, and is writing a list of noisemakers. Pale nyuma there's a priest holding a Bible making noise. Kando yake kuna mtu ako na pombe, so I think that should be signifying clubs. Kwa noisemaker list ya Sakaja hapo ameandika
night clubs.
Number 1 night clubs times 10.
Yes.
Remember how they used to alafu churches are number 2. Lakini kama watafutwa kwa hiyo list, yeah.
In his list there seems to be too much inclination towards night clubs.
Yeah.
Rather than maybe noises from the churches.
Let me get a rough comment. Let me get just a rough general comment from you about that Nairobi noise issue. What do you think?
I think it is good that the governor is trying to get rid of noise, and which is commendable.
Why is he not doing that? Why is he not doing the same for churches?
But I think also there is need to regulate churches. This might not be a very popular opinion, but there is need to regulate churches, and not just churches, and also mosques and every other
worship center.
Yes, worship centers. Because other than maybe having my right of worship, I should be careful on how far I go.
I infringe the rights of others.
Yes, because there is also tendency to think that because we worship God, there is tendency to believe that you should overdo it. You cannot overdo worshiping God, but you can overdo maybe practices that are not done by others, which might be infringing on their rights.
That's true.
It is good to worship, but I also think there is need to regulate some of this, because we have also seen cases where churches have been involved, and not just churches, where maybe bishops and what have you have been involved in what you will say eating where they did not sow.
Yeah.
Yes, or
I get it.
you understand.
Yes, we are going to leave it that for interpretation. Unajua, we don't want to also create more problems that's also already there. Read us the quote at the end of the Business Daily, and then I think we can wrap it up. This session of the newspaper review. At the back there of the Business Daily.
Business Daily, yeah.
There
This
should
one?
be a quote, the back page on the far right, last word.
Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Okay. Courage is what... Hey, I'm sorry. Courage... Hey.
Get some courage. Get some courage.
Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen.
Right.
From Winston Churchill, I believe.
Oh, okay. I hope you've been sitting down and listening. That takes a lot of courage. Continue doing so. It's 9:34 in the morning. We've just had that newspaper discussion with our political analyst here. Bwana, you said the leader of the
NAK Kenya Youth.
NAK Kenya Youth.
And also, before you end it, I don't think I'll get this chance again. But I would love maybe to put up forward a request to the government of His Excellency Dr. Ruto to ensure that you fully involve the youth of this nation in your administration. I am aware that there have been appointments here and there, but I'm also aware that that has not been really fulfilled in accordance to the manifesto. And days back there was what was agreed between him and the youth in Kenya Kwanza. And whether or not we are in the side of Kenya Kwanza, I believe there are youth in that side of the divide.
They should be taken care of as well. All right. Thank you very much, Bwana Ndegwa Ngugi, for that conversation with us. We're going for a short break. It'll be just a breather, and then I'm back with another conversation with Grace Ndethi, who is a trustee of the non-teaching staff at Kenyatta University, talking to us about Kenyatta University Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme. So if you're a staff at KU, but also if you're just a Kenyan, it's important for you to know how retirement benefit schemes work, including NSSF. What benefits can you realize from that? So don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Kenyatta University will hold its 52nd graduation ceremony on Friday, 16th December 2022 at the main campus along the Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV and KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786335111 or visit the KU website at www.ku.ac.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box, just name them.
Pull up in a beam, too much, too clean, I'm taller. Aye, don't foster, serious and other. A big time player. Trip too big and ganja. I went flexer, yeah. Tina said gym, yeah.
The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked. Make sure we keep fit. And that's it from me to you. Let's be fit.
Big and ganja. I went flexer, yeah. Tina said gym, yeah. Too hot like a heater. My neck done froze like winter. Don't bet it on liquor, yeah. Shades on me picture.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
activated PATA system. PATA system basically helps people to get lost documents.
The platform is called X-Carbon. As Lord X-Carbon. I worked with him through this journey of developing this platform.
My project is a machine learning project, and it's based on the medical sector.
We have this project which is a farm management system. The motivation was the way food shortage experience that we are having in Kenya.
All through the daily basis, I try to focus on the area of digital security.
Wazazi wangu ni special sababu wananipenda sana na mimi nawapenda pia. Kabla ya kuzaliwa, nikikuwa kwa tumbo ya mama, aliamua kulilinda na UHC super cover. Wazazi wangu walinilinda na wakajilinda na UHC super cover. Wana kila kitu ya kutulinda. Waliniambia inalipia kutibiwa magonjwa mingi. So leo ningependa kuambia mami na dadi asanti kwa kutumia UHC super cover. I love you.
Wacha familia yako iwe bora kadri uwezo wao, maana UHC super cover tuko nawe. Je, jukumu lako ni lipi? Ni rahisi. Lipia NHIF yako kila mwezi ya shilingi 500 pekee ili kujali afya yako, ya familia na jamii. Iwapo hujajisajili kama memba wa NHIF, tembelea kituo cha NHIF au huduma center yote nchini. Bonyeza *155# kujisajili au download My NHIF app kwa Google Play na Apple Store kujisajili. UHC Super Cover. Sasa sote tuko sawa.
UHC Super Cover.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design, with branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa. Our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Right. Welcome back to Biashara Tuesday. Asante sana for tuning in and staying and sticking with us. I see here on Twitter a lot of us interacting, and on WhatsApp. I will read your comments, guys. Don't go too far, please, and don't get tired of sending in your feedback and comments and any questions that you might have. Here, I am joined by one Grace Ndethi, who is the head bank reconciliation at Kenyatta University. She's currently looking forward to joining the staff retirement benefits scheme as a trustee of the non-teaching staff here at Kenyatta University. We're going to understand how this staff retirement benefit scheme works, especially if you're a KU non-teaching staff and you're watching this, usiguze your remote, just leave it and get to hear exactly what she can do for you once she becomes, of course, the trustee at that staff retirement benefit scheme. But before I get into all the benefits and the kind of improvement she's looking forward to making in this retirement benefit scheme, let's get to hear from her presence at Kenyatta University, how it's been like being part of the non-teaching staff, and then we can segue into this staff retirement benefit scheme. Miss Grace, you're welcome to the show. I'll allow you to introduce and we can delve much more into this retirement benefit scheme.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Grace Wangoi Dede. I work at Kenyatta University. I joined in 2011 as an internal auditor. later transferred to finance department when internal audit was split into two. I was in voucher examination section, which is a section in finance department. Then I went to imprest and control section, where I stayed for about 5 years. And later I've been transferred to bank reconciliation. I am the head bank reconciliation, and I'm happy to be here.
We're very happy to have you here as well.
Yeah.
Looks like finance is your key focus.
I have done, I'm a certified public accountant of Kenya. I have done an undergraduate degree in accounting, and I've done a master's in strategic management. So I'm an accountant by profession.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's those are great qualifications for someone who wants to be a trustee.
Yes.
For the non-teaching staff. Now,
Yes.
let's begin with the straight on staff retirement benefit scheme. I'm aware that this happens in different institutions, and some might not even be having a retirement benefit scheme. Maybe for those who are in other institutions and want to set up theirs, what is the importance of such a staff retirement benefit scheme, as you've noticed for the length that you have been at Kenyatta University? What kind of advantages has it been able to offer the non-teaching staff?
The Retirement Benefits Authority is not only for non-teaching staff, it's also for teaching staff. It's only that when we are getting into the scheme, there are members who represent teaching staff, others represent non-teaching staff, so that they are able to be in the board. And so if you're a permanent staff in KU, you automatically become eligible to be a member of the pension scheme. Yeah, it is managed by the Retirement Benefits Authority, and institutions manage theirs differently. Like Kenyatta University, we have ours. Other institutions like University of Nairobi, TSC have it. Most of the government institutions have them. I don't know how private institutions go about it, but I'm sure the rules are there from the Retirement Benefits Authority. Yeah.
What benefits now have the teaching and non-teaching staff been able to realize from this KU retirement benefit scheme?
Basically, Retirement Benefits Authority scheme takes care of us when we retire, because we get deducted some money that goes to the scheme. The employer gives us a percentage of the money that goes to the scheme. That money is invested. At the end of the day, when you're going home, there's some money you'll get in lump sum, and there's some money that you'll get every month until you die. Yeah, so that's how it benefits, because now when you go home, you don't have a salary. That is all you depend on.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of those remittances from your salary to the scheme?
An employee is deducted 10% of his or her basic salary. The employer gives 20%.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is 30% that goes to the scheme.
All right.
Yeah.
And now you are coming in, of course, trying to be a trustee on this board. Definitely, aside from the benefits that are currently there are improvements that you are looking forward to making in this retirement benefit scheme. Maybe not to say that it's not fully effective, but of course we can always get better. How do you feel like it can get better now for this staff?
For the many years I've been KU, I've realized so many people don't know what happens in pension. Even those who are going next year, if you talk to them, they are not sure what has been happening to their money, how much they expect to get at the end of the day. So one of the issues I want to tackle when I become a trustee is to educate members. And how do you educate members? There are various ways we can educate members with. We can have open forums where we sit down, listen to especially people from Retirement Benefits Authority, because they are the ones who make those policies. They come and let us understand these policies were made because of ABCD. And us, we will be able to ask them questions. And they will be able to make us understand why those policies are there and how they are going to benefit us. Number two, we can invite retired members of staff who are on the ground. Nasikianga mambo kwa ground ni
different sana.
tofauti sana. So we might be planning here about things that might not work when we get there. But when we invite members who have retired, who would be willing to come and talk to us and tell us, if I were in your shoes now, I would be able to do ABCD. Then that way, when we hear it from people who are there, that is out of experience, in a way they have been there, they know what is happening, then we'll be able to understand better. The other way, we can create a website whereby we put as much information as possible about Retirement Benefits Authority, what happens, how we can invest. You know, I'm sure there are ways, even as a person, I can invest apart from the money that KU is giving me. And also let members know this is how you can operate this website. You have if you have a question, you can ask. We put as much information as possible.
Right.
Number two, we have money that has not been remitted. If money is not remitted, it means you don't have interest, because it will just lie with the employer. If it is not remitted, it means if your money is 10,000, you just go home with 10,000. But if money is remitted to the Benefits Authority, it means it will be invested and be able to take home something better. We can work on a medical cover for people who are retired. You know, we retire at 60. That is when the body is tired, the diseases are coming, they're attacking the body. We can work on how, when people are retiring, how they can get a medical cover, so that they are well taken care of.
So you're saying currently there's not provision for that kind of medical cover?
It is there, but people don't know about it.
Okay.
So when I get there, I will be able to advise people. Are we supposed to start saving early? Are we supposed to just give a lump sum when we are going home? And you know, when you give small, it's better than when you give it as a lump sum. So we'll find out what is happening to the medical cover, and we'll educate people about it. Yeah.
All right. Is there another way we can get to see how it improves?
Mostly education.
That's what's lacking.
Yes, education, because you know, information is power. Once you get to know, once you invite people more often to sit and talk, they will also give us their views.
All right.
Yeah.
Does this work parallel to maybe, we know that the country has the NSSF that is managed by the national government. Do they work and also still under the Retirement Benefits Authority? Do these two work together, or are they separate?
They are separate because NSSF is managed by the government, whereby an employee's money is deducted and it's sent to the NSSF offices. And also, my deduction and the employer's deduction is sent to the NSSF. But retirement pensions schemes are managed by individual institutions. Yeah.
Right.
So if I want to claim my NSSF, I go to the NSSF offices. If I want to claim my pensions money, I go to KU pension office. Yeah.
I see now how it works.
Yes. I also want to inform people about forms that they should fill for beneficiaries. In case I die, who should benefit from my
from what you've been remitting to the pension
Yes, because
scheme.
we find most of the time we are reluctant to fill those forms, and you know, death comes anytime. And when it happens, you find that your brothers, your sisters are all coming to get your money, and maybe they are not helping you, and maybe your wife is left desperate with no money. So it's good to make sure we fill those forms. When you change destinations, when if you're not married, if you get married, go and update your data.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So now, Grace Ndethi, you are looking for an opportunity to become a trustee on that particular board. So maybe we can get to hear when are these elections happening, and then for the people who like to vote you in, what exactly should they be having in mind as they go to that ballot?
The elections will be on Thursday, 8th It's the day after tomorrow. It will happen at Bishop Square. If you're non-teaching member of staff and you're permanent and pensionable, please come from 10 to 3 at Bishop Square.
Right.
Yeah.
10 to 3, and
Yeah.
they get to
vote.
To vote for you.
Yes, please come and vote for me. I've done a research and I've realized that we don't have gender equality in that board. It's a board of 8 members and they are all men. So maybe we need a lady there so that even the constitution talks about gender equality. We can have a blend of something to do with the gender.
Right.
Yeah.
Gender balance is actually a very big conversation we are having, even as we are currently in 16 days of activism against gender-based violence as well. So it's important that we have all genders represented, even in the case of getting to address even other gender-based issues that are apart from the pension.
Yes.
Right.
I would also want to let members know, I know we had a meeting on 26th of November. We're supposed to get our allowances. And the systems that we're using can be improved. Instead of us money being withdrawn from the bank and it is given from the desk, we can liaise with Kenvarsity. We are all Kenvarsity members. They can have our accounts. Money can be deposited into our accounts instead of us going to queue. In fact, you can imagine 2,500 members queuing to get allowances. It is very risky.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I get there, if you give me a chance to vote to work for you, I'll make sure that some of those issues are worked on.
Right.
Yeah.
Securing your benefits for a great retirement. That is, of course, the theme that we're going by here, even as you head down to those elections. Some of the things you've mentioned there, rightfully, of course, even including technology in how this is handled, getting a website to ensure that they get the necessary information on how it works, working on having non-remittances remitted, training the members, education, as you said, a very key factor in how they are aware of how they handle their retirement benefits, and also even the next of kin, the beneficiaries of their retirement pension, and also medical cover. As you said there, of course, after retirement, it's important that your health is also taken care of by the remittances that you made. Thank you very much, Grace, for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
I think I'll give you see how they allow politicians to say a last statement directly to the audience. Yes. I'm going to give you that camera to do a political move, and then we can close that conversation.
I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician, but I'm requesting Kenyatta University non-teaching staff members of staff who are permanent and pensionable, please come and vote for me on 8th of December. It is Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Bishop Square. And I'll be grateful, and I promise to work for you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also for coming through. This has been Biashara Tuesday, of course, having conversations. Now we can empower the youth, the non-teaching staff in the community around us, and also remember we already had a discussion on GBV at the workplace with staff from Kenyatta University. Today has been quite an interesting discussion all through from 7 in the morning. And I've seen all of you guys online. Maybe I can mention you guys real quick, seeing that it's 9:57 in the morning and we're about to close up the show. Just a big shout out to one Dr. Mburia, PhD on Twitter, for tuning in to the show, and some watching Grace Ndethi on the show. La Patron Boina, that is Emperor Shaker, that's his other pseudonym huko pale Twitter. Asante sana for tuning in to the show. I see here Ismail Abdallah, Mutua Brian also tuning in to the show. Gigi's Naji, asante sana msanii Naji for tuning in to this show. Tash Mitambo, I am Mitambo, anasema Richard OKENYE doing his thing. Asante sana for tuning in from Ruiru CBD. See here also Puxi Di Sauvage, or Atsi Ateta. You guys have interesting names, and thank you also for tuning in to the show. Guys who are non-teaching and teaching staff here at Kenyatta University, remember on Thursday that voting is happening. Ensure that you show up at the ballot, and if you are going through the list of names and see Grace Ndethi, make sure that you tick against her name for the trustee of non-teaching, and tuangalia results, and we'll be very happy for you because all those all those promises that she's giving out are important for all the staff, especially the non-teaching staff that she is looking forward to representing on that board. Asante sana. And for the rest of the audience, remember to tune in to the rest of KUTV Rise today, Kesho, WCW, Nina Gikunda in the morning, and then Thursday, Ojong Mariam on Throwback Show. Friday, Emperor Sheka on Team Weekendies Entertainment. Friday, alafu Monday, Karen Blessing is still back, and we're happy to have her. She was here yesterday. She'll be back on Monday on Art and Culture Monday. Alafu mimi nitakuja hapa kufanya Biashara Tuesday. From the whole team that has been here behind the scenes, on the transmission desk, in the gallery, in the camera room, and my producer and director, Ryan Ngure, we are very grateful for you guys for always tuning into our shows. Make sure that you always do that. And if you want to have breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen. I'll see you.